Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the FPL Tom YouTube channel ahead of Game Week 32 deadline. As you can see, my wildcard has been activated, and you might, if you've not watched any of the content this week, be wondering why it looks a little bit different to everybody else's wildcard that you are seeing within the community who does have it active this game week. As you can probably hear from my voice as well, I'm not feeling 100% today. I was really ill yesterday, was just pretty much in bed. It was a complete write-off. I feel a bit better today. We'll see how we get on. Obviously, if at any point I need to, go get some tissue, go to the toilet, get some cough sweets, get some more water or anything like that, I do apologize. I will try and obviously, work my way through it. But of course, if any points I do feel a little bit dicey, I might have to go off and blow my nose or, get some more sweets or, get some more water. So hopefully you can bear with me. We'll try and, like I said, help as many of you guys out as possible, give you obviously ideas on what strategies to potentially look at heading into this period. And of course, as well, yeah, let's see what obviously you guys are thinking, because I think a lot of people are probably going to be on the template strategy, right? They're going to be wildcard 32, bench boost 33, and obviously free hit in game week 34. I think that's the template. I think that's what a lot of FPL managers are going for, and it does make sense. Look, it makes sense. I get it, but for me personally, I don't feel like it's the right strategy or the right play, and that's why I've gone a little bit different. But of course, I feel like there's so much that could happen over these few weeks where, either strategy could really, really work out for the better. I've just gone a little bit different and gone my own way, and I completely feel like anybody going the normal, the template way, is also completely fine, by the way. People asking, can you see your wildcard? This is my wildcard team. This is genuinely my wildcard team. This is the strategy that we're going with. So we're going to free hit next game week to get all the bench boosters in. Then we're going to look to bench boost in game week 36. That is the current plan anyway for this side. So yeah, this is the wildcard team that we are rocking. Obviously a little bit different to the ones that I've been posting on YouTube and on X over the past few days. We've taken out Henderson in goal for Verbergen, just because if Crystal Palace do go deep into Europe, there is a potential that Bournemouth could actually move forward rather than Crystal Palace. So we might be looking to bring in Bournemouth players rather than, of course, loading up into Palace players. And also Mateta being back does make him a very, very desirable option. He is a good forward, obviously knows how to score Premier League goals, will be the penalty taker for this side as well. And it gives me a nice route to swap out Bowen or Thiago, who have difficult fixtures in 36, to potentially go and get Thiago in there if I feel like he's going to be the best option. So, yeah, this is what we've got currently. What do we know about Timber for game week 32? I believe he's out from all intensive purposes of what I've seen online. There's nothing saying he's been training, so I would probably hedge that he's probably not going to feature this game week. Hi Tom, dilemma. I'm on Wildcard 32, but with free transfers. But I don't know if I start with Welbeck or Bowen this week and transfer to DCL for the blank game week, the double game week. Sorry. Yeah, I think I've seen quite a lot of people do this. The only thing I would say is Jared Bowen, throughout his whole course of and I've been a Jared Bowen owner for large parts of it of FPL seasons. He isn't a guy that goes and gets those big double-digit hauls, right? He genuinely isn't. Yeah, he just isn't. He just isn't. So it's kind of one of those, isn't it, where Wolves have improved as well. So is it really worth the transfer for a one good week fixture for Bowen? I'm a little bit hesitant to say yes, but I can see the upside of it. I probably would go Rice ahead of Rodgers. Again, Villa being in Europe, probably, it does take away from things a little bit. So I probably, would have Declan Rice in there. Can you explain how the YouTubers have the exact same wildcard team? Of course, not your team here. It seems crazy how they can all have the exact same picks. Is everybody using the same model? I think there's definitely some element of model, but also you've got to look at kind of how pretty much what teams people are backing into, right? You're looking at Brighton, Bournemouth, And, Chelsea and City realistically pick themselves, right? You go Haaland, you go Semenyo, you go O'Reilly. Those are going to be the big guns, right? Then you look, obviously, at, Gabriel and Bruno, just so consistent point-scoring players that people want them after the blanks and the doubles. So that makes sense there. And then, like I said, you are limited in the picks that you're going to realistically select from Brighton, Bournemouth, because they're not like high quality teams with big assets going. Like there isn't, plenty of amazing picks. So there's only a short amount of doublers. That's kind of why everybody's team looks very, very similar. Now, I got accused of being, a copycat and all this under the sun when I went with a free hit team that was like the same as like about 5 or 6 FPL managers. But again, it was all because we had the same thought process. We're targeting the players that had multiple routes to points during that game week. We also targeted players that had the best fixtures as well. And I feel like that's what people are doing with their wildcards. They're looking at next game week and they're going, well, there's only so many decent Brighton picks within the game anyway, so I might as well take the ones that, have the penalties, have the set piece share, can hit defensive contributions. So that is where my head is at with that one. Why is there a deadline on Friday? The deadline is for the game today. That's usually how it runs, man. Always on that. No worries, man. Like I said, I am a little bit ill today, so please do bear with me as I trudge my way through this. Of course, like I said, if I have to go and get like a cough sweet or blow my nose or anything like that, I do apologize, but unfortunately it can't be helped today. So obviously me kind of soldiering through this as well. If you do enjoy the content, make sure you're hitting subscribe. And obviously, giving the stream a big juicy like, it definitely does help us. Hi Tom, if I have 2 Brighton defence and Welbeck, so no Brighton mid on wildcard 32, is Enzo a decent 5th mid? I wouldn't go near Enzo with him being suspended by the club. Yeah, I genuinely wouldn't go near him. What do we do if we've already used our wildcard? If you've already used your wildcard, then you're probably going to be looking at like a free hit next game week. Realistically, is probably going to be the strategy if you've got the free hit left. Have a decent game week 32 sides with a couple transfers made, and already game week 34 team with all 4 chips. 32 wildcard or 35 wildcard. I probably would say if your side is fine for game week 32 and game week 34, realistically, probably my mind would be then looking at 33 being the free hit week, 35 or 35 being the wild card, 36 being either triple captain or bench boost, and then single game week bench boost. So yeah, this is my wild card. People are asking about my wild card. This is my wild card team, by the way. This is what I've wild carded into. I have 0.5 in the bank, I want to say, with this one. Yeah, 0.5 in the bank. Would you start KDH over Thiago, Watkins, Wilson, or Gordon? Nah, I probably wouldn't. I genuinely don't think I would start KDH ahead of any of those. Let's go. Hey Tom, hope you're well. I'm not too bad, mate. I hope you're doing pretty decent on this Friday afternoon. It's good to have FPL back. It's good to be chatting to you guys as always. Obviously today we could hit. Now, it's a big stretch, but we could definitely do it. We could hit 28,000 subscribers. Now, that would be a wonderful way to celebrate FPL being back. So if you do enjoy any of the content, like I said, that you do see on the channel, give it a like, give it a subscribe. Let me know what your chip strategy is as well for the upcoming weeks. And let me know any dilemmas you've got. Of course, team ratings, as always, will be done in the FPL Cartel. If you don't know what that is, it is my exclusive Discord group with Golden Goal Fantasy Football. Get yourselves in there. That is where all team reviews will be going. All right? That's where they will be going. Why don't you have Brighton besides the goalkeeper? Basically, my side is free hitting next week. The only reason we've got Verbergen is if I'm going to 36 wild card, 36 bench boost, they have a decent fixture anyway, and it also allows me to potentially get Mateta for Bowen or Thiago that week anyway. Buy Szoboszlai instead of Rodgers. I mean, Villa have got some okay fixtures, so Rodgers might be an okay player to hold. I know he's super frustrating, but he genuinely might be. Keeper for 32 and 34 can't get Raya. Let me have a look at the fixtures, see what we're working with here. Could be the West Ham goalkeeper, or potentially could be United's goalkeeper. Probably would be where my mind is at. Yeah, so who've United got? United have got Leeds and Brentford both at home, so that's a pretty nice pairing there. Sunderland, maybe. I don't know if Roofs is back, but whoever the goalkeeper is there for them. Jose Sarr as a real rogue shout. West Ham and Tottenham could also be one. Yep, this is my wildcard team. Afternoon, everyone. I've made a couple of changes to my wildcard this morning, so I've sent it over for the team review. Love that. Thank you, Abby, for sending that over. We will go and take a look at that. Forest do not double this side. Like I said, my strategy with this side, I might have to pin this because we keep getting asked a lot of the same questions. My strategy is to free hit next game week, so I don't need to worry about being, targeting certain doublers or anything like that, okay? So I hope that clears it up. We are not free hitting. We are not bench boosting next week. I'm free hitting next week. All right. So that hopefully that clears up the strategy a little bit. Like I said, if you are enjoying the stream, guys, make sure you are hitting that like button. It is really supported as always. Like I said, I'm not 100% today, so any support on the stream is much appreciated as always. I'm just going to get a bit of tissue, so apologies. You're probably going to see this quite a bit in today's stream, so do bear with me a little bit. Cool, we're back. We are back. Would you have 11 doublers on a free hit? Yeah, I'm going to have 11 doublers next week on the free hit for 33. I'm just going to take on Gabriel and Bruno for that one game week, which I think is very plausible. Like, they could very easily blank in that game week. City is not an easy fixture. Big title challenge. I definitely feel like both teams score on that one as well. Hi, Tom. Would you recommend Enzo to Sobo or Cunha or Rice? I mean, Sobo's got decent fixtures. Again, it depends on your strategy. I think Cunha could be really good. Like, United have got great fixtures, no other competitions to worry about, and are still going to be competitive for large parts of the season until they secure European football, in my eyes. So, yeah, I think they'll be pretty decent. Yeah, I don't have any Chelsea assets, so we will just be playing a starting 11, pretty much. So the bench would be Verbergen, O'Reilly, Semenyo and Haaland. So I would have Saw and Richards up against Liverpool, but thing is, I don't even feel that bad about that at the moment. I think Liverpool are a little bit shambolic and definitely a team where maybe we can get a little bit of something out of them. Yeah, I do think we potentially could do. Right, let's head over to the Cartel then and take a look at some teams that have been sent in by you guys. Like I said, guys, if you do want to get yourself obviously involved in the Cartel, come over to it. The link, I can post it in the chat again for you guys. This is where you want to come if you want to get your team reviewed by me. It's obviously a joint Discord between myself and Golden Goal Fantasy Football as well. So, you get two fairly recognizable characters within the community. And obviously, you get your team reviewed live on stream. You get it reviewed throughout the week. You can ask me questions. There's so much going off in there. We've got my model as well. And of course, we have an exclusive weekly podcast as well, where Cartel members pretty much decide how that structure of that podcast is going to work forward going as well. So Abby sent in her wildcard team. She's on the 32 wildcard, bench boost in 33 and free hit in 34. She's gone for Bowen. Now, my assumption is she's probably going to move to Calvert-Lewin or... Yeah, it's going to be Calvert-Lewin there then, looking at that. Obviously, the Brighton one's tripled up. She's also dropped Pascal Gross. She's gone for Vifa instead. I know his DEFCON numbers aren't terrible. I personally still probably would go Pascal Gross. For me anyway, I just feel like he's so, just template, isn't he, realistically? I do worry about double Leeds defence with some of the injuries that they've got. That is my only other concern, but as obviously this strategy dictates, I do think it is a pretty decent side. I do think it is a pretty decent side, Abby, heading into this week, and obviously wish you the best of luck. Thoughts on the fifth midfielder, wildcard 32 and bench boost 55? Yeah, I guess this is kind of that big last chunk is kind of, do you go Ampadu? I've seen Matoma, I've seen Minter, I've seen Gross, I've just seen Vifa. Yeah, I've just seen another guy. So, yeah, where do you realistically go with that? Looking at my model, it does have Pascal Gross as kind of the best midfielder within that category. We can have a look over the double game week. Let's do that quickly. Again, this is all available in the cartel for you guys to come and take a full look at. But let's just break down the midfielders that my model is actually suggesting is the best for this double game week. So obviously Anton Semenyo, I mean, yeah, realistically everyone's going to have him. Let's just make sure that's all sorted. Semenyo, Palmer, and then there he is. There is Pascal Gross. Foden, Tavernier, Rayan, Cherky. Rayan is one that I've seen not a lot of people go for. So maybe that's one. Tavernier also could be a decent shout. Rayan. Aronson's points per game aren't terrible either. Obviously, Minter up here as well. Iori, if fit and available as well, could also maybe be a decent shout. His minutes are definitely a little bit dicey, but maybe could be a decent one as well. There is Vifa, all the way down at 6.5. So, it's 2 points different projection between obviously Pascal Gross and Vifa, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And obviously, if you are on the Bruno Fernandes, wildcard bench boost strategy, Bruno's still up here as one of the top midfielders, actually outscoring people like Hinselwood, who's obviously got a double, pretty much close to a lot of these other doubling guys as well. So, yeah, still pretty decent for Bruno Fernandes for that game week as well. So, yeah, definitely one to consider there as well. But yeah, I do think that fifth midfield spot is up for grabs, and I think probably the picks for me are going to be Gross, Tavernier, maybe a look at like a Rayan, maybe check out Aronson, Minter, Iori if fit and available, or maybe Gomez. I think he's suspended for this week, but could be a decent shout. I think Caicedo could also be one flying under the radar. I know he has to get through this week to avoid being suspended, but again, could just be a nice DEFCON guy for the bench boost. But obviously there is that risk. There is that risk with that one. So yeah, there is that. Like I said, guys, if you want to get yourself involved in the FPL cartel, you can come and check out this model for yourself. Look at all the predicted points. Get your team reviewed by me. Come and chat to me. All that good stuff. Then, yeah, get yourself in there and get involved. Let's head back to my team then. And see what's going off in the chat. What we got in here. Jake's in the chat. Again, another one of our cartel members. Hope you're doing good this afternoon, mate. Help a man out. Who do I bench? João Pedro or Wilson? I think genuinely I would be tempted to probably bench João Pedro a little bit more. I think Liverpool are just so vulnerable to right wingers that Harry Wilson could have an absolute field day. Up against his former club as well. Playing, obviously, for either a new contract or a contract elsewhere as well. He does feel like he could go big this week. Yeah. But at the same time, João Pedro is like 50% owned, probably going to be higher with people including him on wildcard. So you are also then taking on a pretty big EO guy. Oh, 100% would start O'Reilly ahead of Hill as well. You could do that. I think that might be an okay strategy to potentially look at. Because then you've got the free hit to navigate the thingy, or you either save those transfers and start building them up over the next few weeks to then target a double game week 36 bench boost. That may be the play that you might want to go for as well. Is it crazy to have 3 or 4 single game weekers if I wildcard? I think for me personally, I probably would have like 2 if I was on like the pretty kind of the pretty iffy games. What am I on about? The kind of like I think if I was on that strategy, I probably would have as many doublers as possible. I think only Bruno and Gabriel probably would be the 2 that realistically make it kind of, out of that as well. Somerville, I believe there's some doubts around Somerville. Let me have a look at press conference news, because a few of you have been asking about that as well. Let's have a look. What we got? I would be very concerned about Ekatike's minutes this week, heading into this week. Yeah, I would. It could be. Yeah, it could be. But at the same time, like, you know, you are taking on João Pedro, who's a very highly owned player. So that would be my only concern about that. Ruben Diaz won't be back for the trip to Chelsea. John Stones could return. What else have we got? Man U aren't having their press conference till tomorrow, so we won't have any information regarding like Mbuemo and stuff like that. Iriola says Justin Kluivert and Lewis Cook are the only absentees. Bruno Guimaraes has returned from a hamstring injury, but has been delayed by a bout of mumps. So yeah, not good for him. Jack Hinselwood is fine, having pulled out of England's under-21s with a knee issue. Alisson remains out, but Alexander Isak is available again. Frimpong and Gomez could be doubts. Have we had the Sunderland press conference today? When's that one? Labrise is at 1:30. Okay. We will obviously keep them coming as there are more obviously progressing throughout the week. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. If you're enjoying today's stream, by the way, guys, make sure you are getting those likes in. Let's see if we can try and get to 50 likes nice and early on today's stream. It would be really appreciated. Hi, mate. I have a weird situation. I won a wild card this week, but I used my free hit and a few weeks ago. But what do you think is the best? I mean, if you're going to go into that strategy, then you can't really, because, you know, you've got to navigate game week 34. So yeah, if you've used the free hit already, I don't think you can pull the wild card trigger realistically. I just don't think it's, you know, going to happen, because then you're going to have not really a team. Like, you can only half commit to this double game week, because then you've got to use transfers to get an 11 for next game week. So I personally think, for me, to be honest, I wouldn't go for it. I wouldn't go for it. Is it crazy to think that Scott might outscore Palmer during this game week? There is definitely going to be some rogue ass players across this double game week that are going to probably outscore, you know, the template picks, if you like. There's also probably going to be like single game week players that absolutely smash it and destroy the double game week players. Senesi or Hill, thoughts on Matoma? I probably would go Hill. Like him and Senesi, the numbers are very, very good. And I think just for the budget saving, I would rather have Hill. Thoughts on Matoma? He's fine. He's fine. But again, I'm not like, he's not had like, you know, an amazing season. He's not an asset that I'm absolutely dying to have. Again, I would just prefer to have Gross, because, you know, the Premier League is all about set pieces this year. Who's the set piece taker? It's him. I'm not going to go for double Sunderland defense. I do think that is probably a little bit risky. If Mook is available, we have got the budget in the bank to upgrade Alderente to Mook. That could be the move that we do make. We've got the budget in the bank to, of course, make that move happen. So yeah, that might be one that we potentially do consider. Yeah, I don't think Alex Scott is a terrible shout. I do prefer Tavernier. Again, has some penalty share. Like, obviously, he isn't the penalty taker. We know now that Krupi is, but Krupi never plays 90. So there's always that chance of set piece share. Then you get, you know, well, you've got set piece share already, but then you've got that small chance of penalty share kind of filtering in and out as well. So yeah, that's the beauty of it. Which two would you have out of Van Heck, Collins, and Mook? I would have Van Heck and Mook. Collins obviously has been dropped in recent weeks, so yeah, he personally for me wouldn't be there. Scott corners from the other side. I guess then there's a little bit of set piece share as well to go with it. Yeah, I don't mind that. I genuinely don't mind that. I can understand the appeal of going for Bowen this week. If you've got the free transfers, then making that swap. I do see the appeal of doing it. I do see the appeal of doing it. No worries, man. That is what we are here for, to hopefully help as many of you out as possible. This game week, start Alderente or Dango. That is a tough one. Let me check the XG stat for goals conceded to right wingers for Everton. If they're vulnerable from that side, we're going to go with Dango. If not, I would suggest maybe going for Alderente. Who would you replace in your team to save 1 million? You could go Cunha down to like maybe like a Rice Sobo potentially. Yeah, that'd probably be it. And then you get rid of like Verbergen down to like Dubravka or Darlow. If you're going to copy this team and you haven't got quite the money. Abby said the underwhelming DEFCON rate and only 0.2 XGI. I think if you're going to go for a Bournemouth pick, though, you do just go Tavernier, right? He is just going to be the one you do go for. Sorry, guys. My nose is just leaking a little bit. Burnley lead the league in goals to left wingers. We can have a look at that. We obviously will have a look at that. Let's obviously... I'm going to read them out. So the website I use is XG Stats. If you want to go and check it out for yourself, it is a pretty decent website. And yeah, it's pretty good. So do you want to go? I'm happy to go through every single team on today's stream. I don't know if I can get it to work on this stream. So hang on. Give me a second, right? Let me move to the solo cam and see if I can make this work, okay? If I can, then I will, but I'm not gonna. By the way, this is a great website. One of my favorites that I've come across this season. And yeah, I definitely would recommend like going and signing up for it. Like, again, I'm not paid by these guys to say this. There's no affiliate link, nothing. Just if you feel like, you know, what I'm showing you is a decent website, then please, like I said, go and free and check it out. Right, let's have a look. Yeah, I'll check the Discord in a little bit, but what we're going to do first is go through the expected goals conceded by position for you guys. Can you see that? Oh, you can. It is wonderful. If there's any down here, I will read them to you. But let's start off first then with West Ham. So first for goals conceded to left wingers, second to cams, first to CDMs, and first to centre-backs down this end of the screen here. Wolves' main vulnerability area, third to right wingers, so bodes well for Jared Bowen. First for centre mid, so any centre mid could be a decent option this week. First to left backs and second to right backs. What I'm getting from this basically is these sides are just pretty vulnerable from most places across the pitch. So yeah, that's kind of the vibe I get from that one, where anybody realistically could score apart from centre backs and CDMs, it looks like. Moving on to Arsenal and Wolves then. Again, there's so much more you can come and check out in here. Arsenal, obviously, their main vulnerable area is going to be from centre-backs. They're fourth for that metric. So maybe Senesi and Hill maybe could be worth playing them. But again, I think it's just because purely Arsenal don't concede a lot of goals. Bournemouth's main goal involvements are from strikers. So Gokeres, right wingers. So maybe Bukayo Saka if he's back fit and available. Rice could be a shout for me personally. And this is why I've looked at him. Second for centre mid goals conceded as well. Left back is third. Right back is fourth as well. Let's keep plowing through these. Brentford versus Everton. We were looking for Dango, weren't we? 10th for Everton in terms of goal involvements conceded to right wingers. So not amazing. Brentford are the worst for strikers. So maybe Beto. Genuinely, Beto could be on for another mega haul here. Also quite vulnerable to right wingers as well. So could be decent. I think it dies on the right. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. He might be on the left these days. In terms of Everton's vulnerabilities, then, it is looking more likely the defenders here. Left back, right back, and centre back is usually the positions they concede from. Burnley versus Brighton, then. Let's have a look at this. Burnley's most vulnerable area is going to be from right wingers. So right wingers is the one where Burnley are the most vulnerable from. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Also strikers as well. So Danny Welbeck could still be doing pretty decent. Brighton it is going to be strikers, and that's realistically about it. Liverpool versus Fulham. Liverpool's main area of weakness is from right wingers, left backs as well. But yeah, Harry Wilson could actually have a pretty decent game against them. Fulham, their main vulnerability is from cams. So Dominic Szoboszlai, Wirtz maybe could also be pretty decent shouts this week. CDMs, maybe somebody like a Gravenberch could potentially go off as well. Palace versus Newcastle. Palace versus Newcastle. What we got here? Quite evenly matched, really. There isn't like a main vulnerability. Newcastle's is from centre-backs, third for that metric. Palace's is probably from cams, but other than that, not too much to really talk about. Forest versus Villa. What else have we got here? Forest's main vulnerability is from right-backs. Villa's main vulnerability is from centre-backs, interestingly. Sunderland versus Tottenham. Tottenham's vulnerability is from left wingers and cams. Sunderland's main vulnerability is from left wingers as well. So the left wingers should be having pretty decent numbers in there. Chelsea versus City then. Let's run through this one. Chelsea's vulnerability comes from forward, so Haaland should be fine. Centre mids. City's vulnerability is from left wingers. There you go. Not too much from strikers, though. 20th from that metric. So maybe it could be a quiet day in the office for João Pedro. United's and Leeds. This is why I've gone for Bruno Fernandes. Third for goal involvements from cams. So could be a pretty decent game for Bruno. First for goal involvements from right wingers. So maybe we could potentially see some decent hauls out of maybe an Mbeumo potentially if he's going to play on the right. Could also be there. Right backs as well. Who have I got in my side, chat? Who have I got in my wildcard side? I've got Diego Dallo, and they've conceded the most goal involvements to that as well. I hope you did enjoy that. Just doing something a little bit different, obviously showing positional vulnerability. If that's something you obviously want to see, then we can do that more often in these streams. If it's not, then we can get rid of it. We never have to talk about it again. What's going off in the chat? What in the woke nonsense is this? This is how you make up your bread and butter, man. This is how you make up your bread and butter. Yep, the deadline is today at 6:30. The deadline is today at 6:30. So make sure you're getting your teams locked and loaded. I know Janice has sent his team in, so we're going to have take a look at that in a second. Thoughts on Brobby? He could be okay. He doesn't really like the World of Light as like an amazing pick. I'm absolutely gagging for, but yeah, he could be okay. He could be okay. Do you think Timber starts or should I get rid of him? I don't think Timber will start. Personally, for me anyway. Yeah, I don't think Timber's going to start. Right, we've had a few more teams sent in then, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of those. We are approaching 50 likes on today's stream, by the way, guys. So if you are enjoying it, make sure you are hitting that like button. It does push the stream out to more people. And let's see where we can get up to. You never know, we could hit 28k in today's stream, and that would be that'd be cool. I can't lie, it would be great. Right, let's have a look what we've had sent into the cartel then. What we had sent in. Cool. We've had a few more sent in. Janice, should I wildcard? I have wildcard bench boost, free hit left. It's not a terrible side. It's not a terrible side and definitely can make it through this week. It depends how much you want to obviously back into this kind of, meta template that people are running. If that's what you want to do and use all your free chips in one big bash, then I get it. I do get it. Also gives you a chance to obviously start banking some transfers in. The other strat you could go for could be the one that I'm currently rocking and look to set up a bench boost in game week 36. That could also be something that you maybe want to think about. Could also wildcard next game week. And again, set up the side, but have, decent players, free hit in the blank, and then maybe look to bench boost in 36 again. Personally, for me, I think I probably would be tempted to run the template strat with this side. But I could also see you leaving it for this game week and, deploying a different strategy. It's ultimately up to you what strategy you want to go for. I think there are some great ones out there at the moment. It is just all kind of personal preference what you want to go for. Cbiz has said who to bench. Oh, that's a toughie. That is a toughie. Oh, my days. Oh, that is tough. I would be a little bit hesitant benching Wilson this week. I really would. I just think Liverpool are pretty flimsy. I think I would be maybe tempted to take the gamble on Wilson ahead of Anderson. I really would. As much as I like the guy, Anderson is just, look, he is a steady Eddie. He is very, very decent and will probably come away with, 5 to 6 points or 4 points. Liverpool are vulnerable from that right-hand side. Wilson is doing very well this season. Liverpool are in really, really bad form at the moment as well. I think I would be maybe tempted to take the gamble on Wilson. I really would, mate. It again comes down to your own personal preference. Like, if you are someone that thinks, hey, I want to play it safe and go with the DEFCON route, I get it, because Anderson will probably come away this week with 4 or 5 points. He just will. But if you want to go for it and maybe challenge a little bit, I think it could be the one. Personally, for me, mate, yes. I just think Bowen's got so much going for him. The only forward that can hit defensive contributions. He's on penalties, plays very good minutes. So yeah, Bowen. I'm looking forward to owning Bowen. Yeah, it's something I've wanted to do all season. I love the guy. Every single year I end up with him in my side. I mean, I was a little bit hesitant at the start of this season with him moving to the striker position, but he's obviously then back into midfield now, and yeah, it is gonna be playing, a little bit differently. We are only one like away from 50, by the way. So if you are enjoying the content, make sure you are hitting that like button. It would be great. It would be great. Dean Henderson or Jordan Pickford. Again, depends what sort of plans you've got further down the line. But Dean Henderson could be a very nice just placeholder for the double game week coming down the line a little bit further. I only have a wild card or a free hit. If you've only got a wild card and a free hit, I personally don't think I probably would wild card into the strategy that people are going for, realistically, in my opinion. Why do you have Verbruggen instead of Henderson? The reason I've got it is obviously seeing Mateta score the 2 last night, back on penalties. He's starting to build his fitness up as well. He is a player that I would like the ability to go and buy in game week 36 for the bench boost, right? So for me personally, looking at my side, I'm probably going to have to sell Bowen or Thiago that game week, right? So having not got that Palace spot to worry about, like, I can freely go and instantly straight into the market and buy obviously, a Mateta for Bowen. I need to make sure that I've got enough money to do that when that actually comes about, but I'm pretty sure Mateta is not that expensive. 7.5. What's Bowen at? 7.6. So yeah, I can instantly just swap these guys out for each other when we get to the double game week. So yeah, that is the thought process behind that. Also has a pretty decent fixture in game week 36 when we're going to try and get this bench boost off. He's got Wolves at home. It's pretty decent, so I'm happy with that. And like I said, still gives me a route to go and get Mateta. Cunha or Semenyo? I personally would go Semenyo. Oh, my days. Apologies, guys. Like I said, if you've only just joined the stream, I am dealing with a little bit of a cold today, so I do apologize if I'm a little bit ill, blowing my nose, sneeze, have to go and get a drink or anything during today's stream. But obviously, if you kind of like the content, yeah, it at least shows my support for turning up still. I personally wouldn't do that. I think that could be a massive disaster this week. Start Pedro or Gravenberch. I mean, we went through the goal involvement vulnerability. Fulham are very vulnerable to CDM, so maybe Gravenberch could be the one. City are 20th for goal involvements conceded to strikers, so maybe it could be a game where Palmer does blank. For me personally, I probably would play the safe, effective ownership route and go Palmer. But if you are going to back that positional data, then maybe Gravenberch is the one. Bench Sob, Wilson, or JP. Oh, that's tough. I think you probably bench Wilson or JP there. I do think those are probably the ones you end up benching. But again, it's up to your own personal preferences. Hey, Tom, any ideas on City versus Palace fixture? It will go into 36 if it's going to happen. It might not happen, by the way. City have got, they've got to play each other, but what could happen is if Palace keep going further in Europe, what could happen is the Bournemouth game could be moved forward from 37 and give City the game there. So then the Palace City fixture goes into 37, I think. Something like that. That's what's being touted around. Which team has the best fixtures to pick defenders? I mean, Arsenal, go and look at the numbers. Despite not having the double game week, they've still got the best clean sheet projected numbers as well in there. I think United could maybe do something over this period as well, where they potentially could go for it. Should I hold on the wild card and free hit till 33? I think I probably would be tempted to manage game week, probably then manage game week. What's it called? Oh, it's still a double, isn't it? It's still a double. My bad, Abby. My bad. Yeah, I probably would then free hit in 33 and wild card in 34 or potentially 35. Yeah, this is why I wanted to go for this strategy. I think my team looks unbelievable for this week. And I also then get this team coming out of the wild card, out of the double game weeks as well for the remainder of the season. I don't have to contend with Bournemouth players. I don't have to contend with, Leeds picks or anything like that. I've got a pretty nice team going forward. If it goes into 37, it'll still be a double for Palace, but not for City. There it is. Thank you, Abby. Yeah, so the Bournemouth game gets moved forward, right, for City. And then City would be doubling in 36 still, though, so would have 2 double game weeks. Okay. I couldn't remember how it all worked out, but I know there's a period where I might need to go and buy some Bournemouth players. But yeah, thank you for clearing that up, Abby. I couldn't quite remember the permutations of it all. But yeah, thank you for clearing that up, Abby. Like I said, Abby is also in our Cartel our Cartel Discord. And by the way, does an absolutely fantastic job every single week, helping people with their sides. She's amazing with the fixture stuff as well, and a really valued member. So, like I said, not only do you get myself and Tom in there, you also get a very, very good community. There's been some great discussions, I feel, this week in that chat as well. I haven't seen anything from Arteta today. Let me have a look what time his press conference is. But yeah, I haven't seen anything. Yoro or Luke Shaw. I mean, go Delo. If you can afford Delo, mate, get Delo in. Get Delo in. Let me have a look when that press conference is for Arteta. Where is he? Arteta is at 1:30, so we'll probably start to get some information. We'll start to get some information. Yeah, that chip strategy makes sense to me, Chris. That chip strategy makes sense to me with the chips that you have left. I can get on board with that. I can get on board with that. A source close to a senior Chelsea player says Enzo is not causing any issues behind the scenes. With the situation now back to normal, his apology to club and teammates. So Enzo could be back amongst the mix a little bit. I still probably wouldn't risk it, but yeah. Is this my wild card? Yeah, this is my wild card. This is my wild card team. Oh, I don't know if I go double United defense. I'd be tempted to look at Sunderland fixtures. Have you got a Sunderland defender in there? They've got some nice fixtures. But yeah, this is my wild card. The strategy is wild card, free hit, bench boost 36 or 37. From a workshop lad. Nice. If we get time today, I will show you guys at some point the Mansfield card collection we've got. Obviously, if like over the international break, that is pretty much what my time has been spent doing. EFL released the EFL Eternity Pack. So there's like, 1 of 5s, 1 of 10s, all that good jazz. And obviously I've been going pretty ham on the Mansfield picks. I've pretty much got I now have everyone as 1 of 5s. Evans is downstairs in the post box. I need to go and grab him. But yeah, we've got everybody's 1 of 5s. I'm trying to get a 1 of 1 Bowery off someone. Apparently the 1 of 1 Will Evans is now owned by Will Evans, so that's never been seen again. But yeah, if anybody obviously is into card collecting or anything like that, please do hit me up and we'll have a chat. Already have Alderente, Dello, Gabriel, already under 6 mil budget. Man City defender. I mean, if you've not got Nico Riley, he's probably the one, right? What is my strategy again? So it is going to be wildcard this game week, free hit next game week, bench boost 36 or 37. That is good. That is going to be mine. That's going to be my chip strategy again. So yeah, that's why there's no double game week players or only Verbergen in this case within this side. I guess because people are still holding on to like Bruno, Gabriel, Haaland, like that eats into quite a bit already, and Semenyo and stuff like that. I mean, if Timber's still going to be a doubt, I would definitely move to Mook. Yeah, I'd move to Mook. I sent my team to ask for final changes. Yeah, apologies, mate. Apologies. Away with the fairies a little bit today, Mark. Let me go and have a look at that for you, my friend. Apologies, my man. It's your boy 065. Like I said, guys, if you want to get yourself involved, get your team rated by me. Obviously, come and check out all the amazing other features within the Cartel Discord. This is the place to come and do it. As you can see, okay. I mean, Goodmanson is a doubt, isn't he, right? I don't know if I would go for him. Is that just purely because of budget? I think I probably would look at maybe like James Justin if it really comes down to budget is the issue. He's at 3.9, I think. Took some set pieces on Sunday, by the way. Rest of the side is good. Is again, it is that template thing. I probably would just be the Goodmanson one is the only one I've got a few questions about. But if you let me know why Goodmanson, is it for money? Because I think James Justin should be just as good, if not, you know. I don't have the money. If I did, would I go triple Arsenal? The problem with going triple Arsenal is if they beat City in next game week, then win like their game week 34 fixture, City might be like fully like the league's gone, we're done. Arsenal might start rotating. We saw it with Liverpool last year as well. They dropped off a cliff in terms of performances once they won the league. And it does happen a little bit. Again, if Arsenal feel like they're in a comfortable position where they've won the league, back end of the season, they also might be starting to look at potentially, rotating for Champions League games. So that's my concern around the triple up in terms of Arsenal players. But yeah, that for me is personally where my head would be at with that one. Right, I'm just going to quickly blow my nose again. Apologies, guys. Like I said, I'm a little bit under the weather today, so please do bear with me as we try and work our way through today's stream. But yeah, really appreciate the support you showed so far. And if you haven't already, make sure you are hitting that like button. Let's see if we can get today's stream up to 100 likes. Nice and easy. Okay. Yeah, it's due to budget. I'm 0.1 million short from James Justin. Is Goodmanson definitely going to play? I can't remember what the quote was yesterday. Let me have a look in the team news section on the Discord. I can't remember if he was 100% going to play or not. What have we got in here? Bijol, Goodmanson progressing after a late groin problem. All or doubts for the game tomorrow. That would probably put me enough to put me off him. Is there any other changes you could potentially make? Let me have a look at the side. Let me have a look at the side again. I just wouldn't feel confident maybe heading into this game week if there was a player that I was, a little bit doubtful from. Where do you downgrade, I guess? I guess you probably maybe do have to just take the gamble on him. Yeah. I guess you've already played the... I think you've just probably got to take the gamble on him. People asking how many transfers I have left. I have... Well, when I come out of game week 34, I will have 2 free transfers. Because obviously we're playing the free hit next week. Okay, cool. I'll be saying it sounds positive. So we'll go with that. We'll go with that. I do think Munoz is better than Richards. No doubt in my mind. I don't have the budget for it, mate. If I could get to it, I would, but unfortunately I can't. Oliver Glasner has confirmed that Elliott and Nketiah will be out for the rest of the season. Other than that, the Eagles' only absentee against Fiorentina was Czech Doucouré. Strand Larsen was suspended in Europe, but he is available for domestic action. Enzo is still internally suspended and won't feature for game week 32. Reece James, Trevor Chalobah, and Levi Colwell are all on the grass in some capacity. The latter is in full training, however, they won't be available. Maybe if you're on a strategy for me or free hit 33, maybe like I said, a James or a Chalobah could also potentially be back on our radars as well. So yeah, one to maybe consider there, guys. One to maybe consider. Please can you read my message? Yeah, let's have a look. I've already played my wild card. Have you got any other chips left, did you say? I mean, the team looks fine. I'm just trying to figure out what chips you've got left. If you've already played your wild card, if you've got your free hit left next week, just play the free hit, right? I'm not keen on Gokeres. I just don't think he's really value for money, in my personal opinion. Maybe he's going to prove me wrong over this stretch, but I'm personally not the biggest fan of it. Why Alderente ahead of O'Reilly? Pretty much every model has it that way. Yeah. Even my own model, I think, has it that way. So yeah. That is why. Personally, for me, I probably would go Pascal Gross. But that's just the way that I like to play the game. Everybody has their own, obviously, preferences. But yeah, that for me is how I would like to play the game. Let's just check this. So we've got defenders for this week. Yeah, Alderente is on 4.1. Mook's on 4. I can't even see where O'Reilly is. O'Reilly down at 3.2. That's on review, by the way. So yeah, that's why we've started it ahead. Obviously, I'm not saying that's like, the be all and end all. I do just feel like Chelsea score in that game. Can you show the future planning of your team? Probably not on this wildcard. If you want to go and watch one of my videos from this week, I literally run through it on like Solio. I think I did it on Hub as well, where you can see my planning in action. But pretty much the plan will be to free hit next week. Then we'll have an 11 for free for blank game week 34. It is just an 11, unfortunately. We'll deal with whatever that that side looks like. It will probably just be an 11. And we'll rock out with that. Then bench boost will be in 36 or 37, depend where doubles and stuff fall. But at that point, we'll probably just start banking transfers and build our information bank. I've left the Mateta spot open so we can go Bowen or Thiago straight to Mateta in game week 36 if I really want to go down that route as well. So yeah, we've got some opportunities here. Who should I sign up front? I think this is probably the dream front three for me right now in the game. João Pedro and Calvert-Lewin are great for the alternative strategy as well. Yeah, they are decent for the alternative strategy. Haaland or Watkins? Haaland, 100%. Do keep your questions coming in, guys. Anything you want to ask me ahead of the deadline, do let me know. I personally wouldn't go Wan-Bissaka over the low for me anyway. I'm not investing into that West Ham defense. They are crap. They are crap. On a wild card, best Brighton mid. Nobody talking about Hinselwood. Yeah, I mean they're all fine. But none of them are like amazing blow away picks. I would just rather have the guy that has some sort of set piece share, maybe the penalty share. For me personally. So yeah, that's kind of where my motivation would be at for that one. Yeah. I mean, I do think the template definitely does have its merits. You can, if the bench boost cooks, and if people like Bruno and Gabriel cook in that week, you could be flying ahead of everybody. Especially like other people on alternative strategies, you really could be flying ahead. That's just how I see it anyway. Play Anderson or Senesi. Wilson or Sobo. I probably would go Sobo. And I genuinely think maybe Fulham get something out of that game. And if this is the thing, I do just feel Liverpool are a bit ropey at the moment. And I would be maybe tempted to play Anderson. I would. So maybe you just go into Fulham and just stack it Wilson and Anderson. if I had all the chips left, this is how I probably would go about it. I would wildcard this game week. I would bench boost next game week. I would free hit 34, and then I would look to triple captain Haaland in 36, or if another double appears in 37, look at somebody there. That is personally for me how I would go about it. The reason we've done that is then I have a route to go Bowen or Thiago to Mateta, if we want to. So yeah, that's the thought process behind that one. Hopefully that clears it up for people. Obviously, the drafts that I have been floating around have all had Henderson in. And I do think Henderson could be a decent shout. It just, like I said, gives me that little bit of flexibility to go and get Mateta if I really want to. All right. 'I have Strauch for Gabriel. I think Gabriel is going to be fine, and I think you want him longer term as well compared to Strauch. Yeah, people asking me, I will be on free hit next game week, so I will have all the doublers in. I will have all the doublers in. It will be a full doubling side next week. All right. Hopefully that clears things up. 4.1 Tom Dilemma is 4.1 million defender to ensure money for Munoz, who's I don't have the budget to do that. I kind of like Richards. I think Richards. I've owned Richards for large parts of the season, and the guy is just pretty steady. For 4.4, he is just a very steady asset, as you can see here. Like 10, 4, 6, 8, 7, 4, 9, 6, 8, 6. Like he's not blowing anything out of the water. Don't get me wrong, but he's just steady for 4.4 million. He is a very steady guy for 4.4 million. Welbeck captain thoughts. I mean, Burnley are vulnerable to strikers, but personally for me, I think you go Bruno or you go Haaland this week. That's personally how I would look at it. Looks like we've had another team sent in for review, so we'll go and take a look at that. Obviously, if you do want to get yourself involved in the FPL Cartel, make sure you are joining here. There's the link. Make sure you join in there. And yeah. What was I going to look for? What was I going to look for? Oh, Cartel. Wanna rock. Yeah, I've just seen, man. Appreciate. Thank you for joining the Cartel. Really, really appreciated. Let's take a look at this team then. Let's take a look at this team. So you've played your bench boost, you played your triple captain, you've just got the wild card and the free hit left. Okay, so what you could do is you could go into the template strategy, but I don't really see the point when you've got no bench boost left. I really don't. Looking at your side, how many players would you have available in the blank? You would have, could you get an 11 out? Wilson, Haaland, Thiago. No, Haaland's not there. It would be Wilson, Thiago, Gordon, Anderson, Bruno, Verge, Chow, Konza, Kelleher. So you'd need one player to give you an 11. So I think for me personally, I would either look to bring in somebody for that, and then, you know, you could free hit next week, get through the blank, play your wild card to set yourself up for the second half of the season. So game week 35 wild card. Or I think the other play is you could get through next week because you've already got a decent amount of doublers in here and some decent single players. Add a few more doublers in potentially. then play the free hit in game week 34, and then wildcard in game week 35, and again, set yourself up for that second half of doublers. That is probably the strategy I would lean a little bit more towards. But obviously, let me know what your thoughts are on that one. That is probably the two strategies I would realistically be looking at with your side there, okay? Hopefully that helps you out. And like I said, thank you for getting yourself involved in the cartel. Obviously, ask me any questions after the stream as well. I will be live in there as well if you're unsure on anything. And we'll keep you guys posted. The stack updates didn't sound great. Definitely not going to be available for game week 32. Looking unlikely for game week 33. I said Haaland, mate. Gordon on a wild card. I have 2 free transfers. I personally wouldn't. Like, I could go and get Gordon on my wild card. He is a player that I've thought about. But I think ultimately, if you're going for a similar strategy like mine, you probably want to be targeting the better fixtures here and making sure you've got decent fixtures in obviously the other game weeks as well. If you want to join the Discord, here is the link. Let me send it in for you. That is the link to get yourself involved with the Discord. There you go. Like I said, you get team reviews now. Obviously, there's so much more. You can come and chat to me after the stream as well. We'll be answering questions. There's my model. There's a podcast. There's so much great stuff going off in there. So do get yourself involved. What is your free budget after the transfers? I think we've got 0.5 or 0.6 million in the bank. So a little bit of wiggle room. Yes, I still have a bench boost. Still have a bench boost as well. The link is in the chat, or if you go to the description of this stream, it is also in there as well. Palmer to Saar or Palmer to Cunha, stack to Garner. Which would you do? I'm on free hit 33, so I need to get rid of some blankers. Makes sense. I mean, Palmer to Cunha could be the exciting one. I think there would be more upside in that. So that is the one that I probably would go for. Dalot ill. Any news about Dalot's illness? I haven't seen anything on that. Is it the FPL Cartel? Yeah, that is the one. That is the very fellow. Yep, it is completely free for 7 days, so you can come and test it out, see if it's the right vibe for you, see if it's a community you want to be part of. And then after that, yeah, it is £7 a month, something like that. Hey, Tom, start 2 of Wilson, Anderson, and Wilson. Start... Show me enough. Looking at the chat, the most popular strategy that 70% of you are going for is going to be a wildcard in 32, a bench boost in 33, and then a free hit in game week 34. That is the most popular strategy that you guys are looking at. The other one is, second is free hit in 33, wildcard 35, bench boost 36, and then the strategy I'm on, 8%. No worries, man. Wilson, Anderson, and Gordon. I would play probably Gordon, and I genuinely think I would be tempted to play Harry Wilson against Liverpool. I really do think that maybe you could get something out of that game. Just sit myself up a little bit. We were slumping in the chair. Thoughts on Jaden Anthony as a wild pick over Palmer? Yeah, I wouldn't even go near that. I would not go near that. For me, that is an absolute no-go. Yeah, that one is a complete no-go for me anyway. Do keep your questions coming in. Anything you want to ask me about wildcards, all that good jazz, do let me know. We are here to try and help you guys out as best as we possibly can. Just looking at Tom's stream for the day. He's got his template team looking very nice, very shiny. But yeah, no template for us. Start Saw or Wilson. I think with Saw having European football, probably would be a little bit tempted to maybe go with Wilson. Rodgers or Wilson this week. Again, I think I would be tempted to maybe take a gamble on Wilson. But again, I probably would lean more towards Rodgers on that one. Jamie is a big Palmer hater. Yeah, he's not the biggest fan, is he? Not the biggest fan. Van Heck or Strauk? Probably Van Heck for me. Yeah, probably Van Heck. I just think with those Leeds injuries that they've got, could really leave them susceptible for this game week and for the following game week as well. Cool, man. I'll have a check. Let's have a cheeky little gander at it. Nice. Yeah, I rate that. Team looks good for this game week. Team looks good for this game week. Nice looking team, mate. Best of luck with your strat. It's you. Apologies, guys. Everyone asking me about Delo being ill. I've seen absolutely nothing on this. So, he's living off a 14-month run. I'm going to have to go and check on this Delo thing, but I've seen absolutely nothing on it, by the way. If anybody has anything on it, let me know. But yeah, I've seen nothing about Delo's illness. So if anybody's got anything, please do let me know. Oh, I've just seen it here. Michael Carrick doesn't face the press until Saturday, but the Red Devils have been training in Dublin this week with Benjamin Sesko and Brian Mbeumo present. Martinez and Dorgu were with the squad in Ireland too, although the latter was only training individually. Mateus de Ligt, Diego Delo, and Tom Heaton didn't make the trip. Eesh. Okay. There we go. Right. Well, we've got some tinkering to do, I guess. We have some tinkering to do. I mean, I could still get through with Delo. Like, he should be back for game week 34. If it's only illness, then we probably can get through it. And my thought process is here, right, is I probably just need someone to cover game week 34. If this is the case, I probably will just chuck Nico O'Reilly in. So, yeah. Harry Maguire's suspended, isn't he, for 2 games? So yeah, I'm probably not going to go near him either. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to blow my nose. It's really irritating me. Apologies. Apologies about that, guys. Like I said, a little bit under the weather today. United don't play till Monday. Could be okay then. I think just with him not being obviously at that training camp does put some doubts around it, doesn't it? Really. So yeah, maybe we don't go Delo. Now I need to find a defender with a good fixture in 34. Let's have a look what we're working with. 34 and 36. It could be like somebody like Matty Cash, but I'm a little bit concerned at that point if Villa are far in Europe. That yeah, maybe that option goes down the pan. I would love to get an Everton defender in, but there's no like real consistency in terms of minutes. United do just fit all the categories, unfortunately. So Leeds, Brentford, and Sunderland. Spurs, Sunderland this week, so I wouldn't need to play them anyway. Wolves in 34. And then they'd have Leeds at home in 36. Some massive relegation games. But do I really want a Spurs defender? Probably not. Probably not. So yeah, I could just leave Delo. I could genuinely just leave Delo and then go with O'Reilly this week. Apologies, guys. I'm going to need to blow my nose again. Yeah, I can't go. Does anyone have any, like, is he ill or is it more serious than that? Because that's the information I need. I need to know if he's ill or he's, like, actually... I've seen the thing. Diogo Dalot and Tom Heaton didn't make the squad due to illness. There we go. So if it's just illness... Yeah, if it's just illness, I'm tempted to maybe just leave it. I'm maybe tempted to leave it because I only need him for 34, so he could be back for then anyway. If it's just an illness, stay behind to recover from illness. Okay. So I reckon... I'm 2.4 million short of your team. You probably have to get rid of like Cunha, maybe drop Saw down. Yeah, those would probably be the changes you'd have to make. Oh, there we go. Fixtures will be out on the 19th of June, so we can begin our planning already. Thank you for that, Abby. Yeah, what do I do about Diogo Dalot then is the bigger question. If it's just illness, I feel like he could even be fine because the last report of that was 3 days ago, right? So he could be completely fine and could be back up to speed. And if not, if he's not going to play, then we get O'Reilly straight off the bench. Casemiro could be the option instead of Cunha. I don't love it, but it could be the option. I probably would be a little bit hesitant to spread it on Wes Fofana if Chalobah is back in some sort of training. Maybe Chalobah plays one of the games. I personally would go Szoboszlai ahead of Ekitike to start for me. Yeah, I could just back O'Reilly, and I guess it covers me off with the other things. I could just stash it. If he's only injured, you know what I mean? If he's only going to be injured, then I think it's going to be fine. Dan Bollard is close, but won't be involved against Tottenham. Yeah, Chelsea have also not kept a clean sheet in their last 9 games, by the way. No, this is my wildcard team. This is my wildcard team. It ain't a lie. This is the team I'm wildcarding into. If you haven't seen any of my videos this week, this is the strategy that I'm going for. Wildcard this game week, free hit next game week. Get through blank game week 34 with an 11, and then we are gonna go from there. Bench boosting 36 or 37. Yeah, I don't have any. I have one because again, like I said, we're gonna. Well, I've got the free City ones as well, but we're gonna free hit next week anyway. So yeah, strategy is wildcard, free hit, and yeah. Oh, I can't. To be fair, I meant in 9 Premier League games, not in all competitions. Yeah, I think you could look at some Leeds defenders. I probably would prioritize Bournemouth and Brighton defenders a little bit more. Yeah, I think that potentially could be even enough to get you through the blank as well. That could be enough to get you through the blank. Yeah, I think Gordon's pretty decent option this week. I mean, I am on that strategy, so yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. Coin flip, DCL or Bowen. Yeah, we can do that. Where's the coin gone? It's up here. Heads is going to be DCL. Tails is going to be Bowen, okay? Heads it is, DCL. Tavernier or DCL to start this game week. I probably would go Calvert-Lewin. Probably would go Calvert-Lewin. I need the jump the wave predictions for the lineups. They usually do United in here as well. So yeah, we need these this week. We do need these this week. Yeah, they do the United one, so we definitely need that. We definitely do need that. How much are the other United defenders, like a Luke Shaw, for example? What we got? Shaw's cheaper, so that's fine. Yeah, Shaw's a bit cheaper, so maybe we might be able to wiggle Shaw in. I would prefer to have Diego Dallo though. But if he was reported being ill 3 days ago, he's probably going to be fine now. He probably is going to be fine now. Yep, this is my wildcard team. This is my wildcard team. We are wildcarding this week, then we are free hitting next week, and then a bench boost in 36 or 37. Yeah, I'm free hitting in that week. Free hitting in that week. Do keep your questions coming in, guys. Anything you want to ask me before the deadline, do let me know. Oh, meerkat. Let's have a goosey gander at... Where is United? United. I mean, Dallo is in there. He's got Dallo in there. We're going to risk it. I think we're going to risk it. Hey, coin flip for Thiago or Welbeck out. Where have I put the coin? It's over here. Yeah, let's do that for you. Right. Tails is going to be Thiago. Heads is going to be Welbeck, okay? Tails. There you go, tails. I don't know if it is better. I think realistically, probably the double is the better week to probably maybe get the bench boost off. I just don't want my team to be full of Brighton, Bournemouth, and Leeds players moving further forward. That's just how I feel about things from my personal perspective. I would prefer Gross as well. Personally, for me, I wouldn't have 15 doublers. I probably would have like 13 and would carry Bruno and Gabriel through. If I was going to wildcard this week, right, here's the team I probably would look like if I was going to wildcard with a bench boost in mind next week. This is pretty much the team I would have. This is what I would. This is pretty much what I would go for. Pretty template, pretty bog standard, but realistically, if I was on a wildcard 32, this is and a bench boost next game week, this is probably what I would go for. So the single game week players I would carry through would be Bruno Fernandes and would be Gabriel. So yeah, that's personally where I would go with that one. All right. Hopefully that clears things up a little bit for you guys. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. I'm just going to quickly blow my nose again, guys. Apologies. Like I said, struggling a little bit today, but we'll keep plowing through. Calvert-Lewin's fine for what he is. Obviously, the good thing about Leeds players is you get the double game week, and then if you're free hitting in 34, you come out straight into Burnley, and there's also some pretty nice fixtures to end the season with. So for his price point of 5.6, like, maybe people have been overhyping him and talking about him like, he is the next Messi, but at the same time, the guy's got 12 goal involvements this season. So for 5.6 million, like, he just is okay for the budget. I think maybe what certain people are doing is maybe overvaluing him a little bit, but he is a good option at that price point. That's how I feel about it anyway, is I think Calvert-Lewin is a decent option, but, I just want him for the double. I don't want him, like, longer term. Yeah, this is why I've done it. If my team wasn't a mess this game week, I realistically probably would have been on free hit 33, wildcard 35. I would have been on that strategy. So yeah, I would have realistically been there with you. But like I said, for me, I just don't personally see owning Brighton, Bournemouth, Leeds players, like a lot of them, is going to be a good strategy longer term. Like, I know, yeah, some of them have got some pretty decent fixtures. They've got a double game week. I can get that in the free hit and still not have to worry about owning them long term. Like, they're not amazing point scoring players. They're just not. So yeah, that's just how I feel about things. I don't mind Fleming at 5.3. He was a player that I did speak about. Again, though, it is just Burnley. But again, if you got your bench boost out of the way, then you don't really have to worry about it. He probably would have been a player I would have considered a little bit more if there was better teams doubling, because you realistically would want, more premium players. Yeah, I agree, Jamie. The teams that are doubling aren't great. Like, again, there isn't anybody that I am desperately wanting to get my hands on. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I want Triple City because they maybe could be on a title charge here, could be, running down obviously the Premier League and stuff. But outside of that, like Triple Chelsea, I probably only want João Pedro realistically. Bournemouth, like, again, Hill's a good budget player, but outside of that, again, like Senesi, they're okay. Tavernier, okay, budget pick. Pascal Gross, okay, budget pick. DCL, okay, budget pick. Like, and that's most of your side then built there. So yeah, I do agree for the double game week. 100% get these guys in. They've got the double fixture. It's the right play. It's the right move to make. But longer term, I'm personally not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I would probably go Munoz on that one, my friend. Yeah, I probably would go Munoz. Do keep your questions coming in, guys. Anything you want to ask me ahead of the deadline? Is Barkley a crazy choice? Yes. I don't think he's even consistently starting games, so personally would avoid that one. Yeah, personally would avoid that one. I am wildcarding, mate. This is my wildcard team. This is my wildcard team. I don't think Dorgu will be starting. No, not personally. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I could see that. Best person to probably find for that information is Ben Krellin. He posted that. James from Planet FPL, also pretty decent. No, I haven't. And I will then be getting them on the free hit. I'm going to have to write it down, aren't I? I'm going to have to write it down. I am free hitting next game week. Pin that. I'm going to pin that. I'm going to pin that. I've got Thiago because I'm not... Again, this guy's chasing down a golden boot, chasing to secure himself on the Brazil plane. I think he could score against United. I think he could score against West Ham. I feel pretty confident about Everton that he demolished earlier in the season. This is probably the period in 36 where I will take him out. That will probably be my swap for Mateta, will be Thiago. But at the same time, I don't mind Palace. Like, Palace could be really distracted at this point with other competition, so it could be an easy win for Brentford. Then the Liverpool game as well could also be one where they maybe get something out of it. So yeah, this is... that's why I'm on this strategy. You've got a wild card left, but no free hit. I would probably try and just... got a wild card left and a bench boost. I think you might be better setting up the wild card and bench boost the other side of it, and just trying to navigate through the double game week might be the better play for you. Yeah, that free hit is really important with these strategies because it either allows you to go heavy in on the doublers so you can then free hit them out in 34, or you can then navigate the double and still have your team come back for the blank if you've already got decent numbers as well. So that free hit is really, really imperative. And one to probably pick up on next season is make sure you're using your chips, especially second half of the season, at the right time. Why would you not bench boost in a double game week? I mean, the thing is, right, with bench boosting, I would have 2 extra double game week players because I would have Bruno and Gabriel. Both Bruno and Gabriel have difficult fixtures that game week. What's to say my double game week players don't come away with, 4 each? 2 from Bruno and 2 from Thingy. So I'm probably looking at maybe 12 points if everything goes to, like, shit. It's not the best double game week. That is why I'm not doing it. And I don't want to be stuck with these guys longer term as well. Yes, maybe I get the upside 1 week, but then you have to deal with a side that is full of Brighton, full of Bournemouth, full of Leeds. The strength is in the bench boost, not the wild card. Safe, but maybe not entirely optimal. Again, like I said, I think the bench boost next week is the strongest week to play the bench boost. But then you are stuck with those players, right? And what I'm going to show you here is a great example of kind of my thought process, okay? So let me switch to this screen. Let me go to my model and let's go to the 5 game week projections, right? Let's bring everybody back in and let's look at the top projected players over this list, okay? Can you see in this list any, like, look how far we're down. We're down to like 27 here, okay? So you've got Chelsea, you've got City players in there already. But over that period, can you see any Brighton players, any Leeds players, any Bournemouth players? I'm genuinely looking now and I can't. Okay? I can't see a single one. So yes, you get that double game week. But longer term, I feel the team is in an absolute state. Longer term, I do feel like the team is in a state. You then don't have the ability to go and hop on to Arsenal's, Newcastle's fixture runs at the back end of the season as well. So that is where my head is at, and that is why I've selected going with this strategy. If my team was fine for this week, I would have free hitted next week, and that would have just been the play and then wildcard a bit later. My team, unfortunately, is a bit of a mess. So that is why I will be free hitting next week. Okay? That's why we've wildcarded this week, free hit next week, and then play the bench boost further down the line. That is the plan. That is what we're going with. Longer term transfers will accumulate. Well, this is the thing, right? If you wildcard in this game week, you're not carrying. Bench boost, you'll get 1. So let's say you've got 1 this week. You will then have 1 next week. Then game week 34, you're free hitting. So you're going to get to game week 35 with 2 free transfers. That is all you're going to have. That is not going to be enough to reshape your side to, number one, target any double game weeks. So you're going to have maybe Palace potentially double in there. So how are you getting Palace players in if you've only got 2 free transfers? You've also got big fixture swings for sides like Arsenal. That could be a really imperative run for them at the back end of the season where they might be going for the title and everybody would want Arsenal players. You also have Newcastle with great fixtures as well. Again, how are you getting to all those players? You just don't have it. Yeah, I agree with you, Jamie. Look, it's Brighton and Leeds. These aren't going to be sides that I will probably ever want like a stack of players in apart from a single game week. Maybe a one-off game week like we're seeing with the double game weeks. I'd feel happy going with the triple up. Longer term though, they're just not going to score that great. I really, really do believe it. I really, really do believe it. Look, I'm not saying that this strategy won't work and it's not the best route to go for. If you are on that strategy, look, all the models really like it. And I do think it could be a very, very good play. You get your bench boost out of the way. You get, obviously, some good doublers. And if the bench boost really does tick, you could put yourself at a great position. So there we go. That's it. Oh, 100%. Arsenal could be on the beach. That could also work in your favor. Again, this is why there are so many strategies going for and against it at the moment. But I just think longer term, I wouldn't want a side that's filled with Leeds, Brighton, Bournemouth players. I would rather have a side that has, United challenging for a top 4, triple City, as you can see here, some decent other point scoring players with some double game weeks as well. That's how I would look at it. Would you rather DCL and Gross or Welbeck and Ampadu? I probably would prefer DCL and Pascal Gross for me. Those probably would be the 2 that I would look for. Is there any team news? What did we have? We had something a little bit earlier. Dan Ballard's not going to play. Yano, good few weeks away. Hickey won't feature. Damsgaard will return. Gabriel, Rice, Trossard, Eze, all fit and available. Saka, Timber, and Hancape were all absent for Sporting, a long-term absentee Moreno. Haven't been seen in training on Thursday. Was also not spotted by the cameras. But we've seen that before with Arteta. I don't think it's stupid. I just probably, for me personally, with my own preferences, would rather have the guy that has the set pieces. Yeah. Only got bench boost, TC, and wildcard left. Probably then look at TC in 33, wildcard in 35, bench boost in 36. Probably would be the play I would go for. That's probably the play you're realistically going to be looking at. Do keep the likes coming in today, guys. We are approaching 100 likes on today's stream. And yeah, it would be appreciated if we could get to that number. What to do if I have all 4 chips left? I would wildcard, I would bench boost, I would free hit all within the next 3 game weeks. Then I would look to play my triple captain in game week 36. Any thoughts on Evan Nielsen on the wildcard? Again, no. I think the ideal front 3 is João Pedro, is DCL, is Haaland for this wildcard. Those are the 3 I would be looking at. Thoughts on Garner over Anderson? I don't mind James Garner. Also, a very, very similar to Anderson. Both very, very good at what they do. Not the most flashiest picks, but they just go for it. Yep, you can ask the coin, my friend. Heads is going to be the wild card 32. Free hit 33 is going to be tails, okay? It is tails. There you go. Would you do Gabriel DCL or Senesi Pedro DCL Welbeck? I probably would want the Gabriel DCL Welbeck. For my team? I mean, my team, it doesn't matter because I'll be free hitting next week, so we'll get DCL in there. And obviously, I've got to navigate the blank game week as well. Why not triple Arsenal? I have looked at some drafts with triple Arsenal. It is something that I have looked at. But personally, for me, I think this is the more balanced structure. Thank you for 100 likes on today's stream. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, thank you very much. I believe so, yes. There's nothing been mentioned about him in the press conferences. Just Dan Ballard isn't going to be available. But everybody else looks to be fit and available. Bowen doesn't double next week, remember that. So if you wanted to have as many double game week players, that is going to then require a further transfer. So yeah, do bear that in mind. Minter, Hinselwood, Matoma. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of any of them. I think probably if I was going to go for anyone, maybe Matoma, maybe Hinselwood. That's about it, yeah. Yeah, this is my wildcard team. Yeah, Ballard is still out. Still an absence. Get your questions in the chat, guys. Anything you want to know, do let me know. I mean, you can. I mean, there's nothing stopping you taking him out next week, is there, if you want to do that? It's your team, not my team, my friend. I would prefer DCL to Welbeck. I just don't think Welbeck plays both games across the double. Unfortunately, I just don't. I feel a bit dizzy, me. I think Gross tops the lot, to be honest. He just does. Yeah, he's probably the one I would look for. Do I sell Haaland? If I sell him, what is the replacement? I wouldn't sell Haaland. Ahead of a double game week, another double game week further down the line. Yeah, don't sell Haaland. It's a silly move. Let's take a look at my model then. Because we're getting a lot of questions about certain like players, like Leeds, whatever. So let's take a look at that mid spot, because I believe that is the one that people are asking so many questions about. So let's take a look at double game week 33 and see what are the best mids that potentially people could go for. Semenyo tops the list. No real surprise there. You know, he looks to be a great option. Palmer up there as well in terms of his predicted points. Obviously, if I move that out a little bit, obviously the first column here is the first game, that is the second game, and then that is their total. Pascal Gross is the third best according to my model for this week. Foden up there, Tavernier, Rayan, Cherky, Brennan Aronson is a player that I've seen nobody really talk about. I think his minutes are just too dicey for me to personally risk. So I probably wouldn't go for it. Minter, Ayori, maybe. Maybe a gamble on Pedro Neto, potentially. Gomez is on there as well. Someone just asked me about him. I would be tempted with Caicedo. The only problem is if he does pick up one more yellow, he will be suspended for double game week 33. So that is the only problem with maybe looking at him. Abby in our Discord group has gone for Vifa. Scott, a few people have asked me about. Could be an okay option. Again, predicted points aren't amazing, but still could be an okay option. But again, Hinselwood here is below Bruno Fernandes, who just has a single game week fixture. So yeah, maybe something to ponder on there as well. I can't remember if Nico Williams is injured. Maybe want to just double check that one as well. Why do I have no Palmer or Brighton? Again, I am free hitting in game week 34. It is the pinned comment. The points are accumulated by points per game and then use a fixture multiplier. So it's points per game from last season and this season, with obviously more weighting towards this season as we're a long way through it, with then a fixture difficulty multiplier based off the FDR rating. There you go. So not by eye test, purely by points and numbers that the players are putting up, and then based off the fixture that they have got. Okay, so hopefully that breaks it down a little bit for you in terms of how the model works. But it's purely a points per game model, right? That is how it works. O'Reilly for Senesi. Yeah. I mean, both double next week, but I think O'Reilly's probably going to be the more explosive pick, isn't he? I mean, Anderson definitely doesn't need the fixtures. He is a guy that just creams out points. Regardless of opponent, he just does cream out those points, doesn't he? I also think by that point as well, Forest will still have plenty to play for. I haven't tried building the model out with expected goals and other variables. There is some other variables built into the model. So there's like a pen variant. There was a minutes variant. However, it was too tricky for me to manually call every single player within the game. Like I was doing like 400 players. So in the end, we've just taken that out and everybody plays 90 unless they are out injured. And then, yeah, like I said, XG I haven't really delved into. Maybe I might have a look at upgrading the model over the summer, but realistically for me, I think points per game is a nice thing to look at. And, you know, obviously, again, with like stock markets and stuff like that, past results don't usually determine future performance. But in FPL, it is quite a good predictor. I built a very similar model for Rugby League Fantasy this year. I now have 2 teams within the top 100, one within the top 50 as well. So this is a sport, by the way, that I know very, very minimal about. So yeah, that is kind of what I think the benefits are of this a little bit. There is, but again, I'm kind of trying to keep it as basic as possible for me realistically. So yeah, I'm not looking to make it too complex, so it's, you know, a big task for me to update every single week. So yeah, there we go. Do keep your questions coming in, guys. Anything you want to know, do let me know. What should I do after Gakpo to Gross? Probably Dango would then be the next one you swap out. Probably for maybe like a Tavernier. That's probably the move then you're going to go for after that. Yeah, yeah, it can go berserk. It can go berserk. So I want to obviously keep it updatable every single week for the members in the cartel. And like I said, I think points per game is a decent thing to monitor. It's not obviously, like I said, the be all and end all, but definitely something that I'm gonna play more closer attention to as well. Why Alderente over Riley? Again, points per game. All the models have, even like outside of my model, have Alderente ahead of O'Reilly this week. So that's why we've selected that one that way. Casemiro over Cunha, probably not for me. Casemiro just doesn't see out full 90s, does he? Loves a yellow as well. Um, so yeah, personally for me, I wouldn't trust it. Yeah, I don't mind it. Has okay fixtures till now to the end of the season. Even the game week 35 game against Liverpool does feel like one where maybe they could get something out of it. Yeah. I think Palmer's fine for this week though. Again, it's probably his ownership is going to skyrocket a little bit this week anyway, because obviously people are, bringing him in on the wildcard strategy. Break it down to me, Abby. You know me. I love to butcher people's names, especially Sunderland defenders. Give me it. Give me it. Let me know where I'm going wrong. Yeah, I'm free here next week. Bench boost will be in 36. Saw or Wilson? I probably would go with Wilson, just given Liverpool's vulnerability to right wingers, and obviously, and Saw midweek playing like a full 90. No worries, mate. No worries. We've been asked a lot this week, so that's why I put the pin comment as I am free hitting next week, so people know. People know. Obviously, do keep your questions coming in. Anything I can try and help you guys with before the deadline, do let me know. We will we'll try and help you out as best as we can. There's no N in his name. Alderete. Am I saying Alderente? So Alderete. There you go. Alderete. There we go. Good luck to you as well, mate. Good luck to you as well. Good luck to you as well, mate. If I had to try and pronounce everyone's name, I would be absolutely finished. Alderete. There we go. Yeah, I think people will probably start buying him back now. Wildcard picks, obviously 2 double game weeks for him. Yeah. Then don't make it. Don't make it. Leave it. If it's going to be too difficult to get them guys back in, then leave it a little bit. Timber injured. Doesn't look like he trained on Thursday. That's about all I've seen, to be honest. Yeah, apparently he wasn't in training. That's all I've got for you, unfortunately. He wasn't in training. I am really waiting for those jump the wave predictions. I need them. I need them this week. I really do need them this week. But yeah, we do need the United predictions. We're desperate for them. Darlow plus Verbruggen is probably the right pairing. Yeah, it's probably the right pairing. Pascal, Strauch, or Hill if I've already got Senesi. I think I wouldn't mind going for like a double Bournemouth defence. I think with the injuries that Leeds have got, it could leave them vulnerable. I would probably be tempted to maybe bench Guéhi out of all that lot. Haven't seen any update regarding Mook. The only player that was spoken about was what's his name? Ballard. That was the only player that was spoken about. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Do keep your questions coming in. Anything you want to know ahead of the deadline, do let me know. If you want your team rating by me, of course, get yourself in the FPL Cartel. That is where we do all of our team reviews. Yeah, I think Saliba will play. I think Saliba will play. What strategy you want again? Yeah, this is my wildcard team, Janice. Better on predicted points. Anderson, Wilson, or Dango on the bench. Probably Dango. Probably would bench Dango. Yeah, I probably would bench Dango. Sell Gabriel to free up space for Palmer to then bring Gabriel back in later. You probably have too much value built into Gabriel. Like, I bought him for like 6.2. He's now up at 7.2. So do just bear that in mind if you are going to sell him off. You might not be able to afford to get him back in. Especially if you've got a lot of value built into him. Personally, for me, I don't think that is worth the transfer. Probably would go... I mean, Arsenal's main vulnerable area is centre-backs. So maybe you go Senesi or Hill, realistically. Yep, this is my wildcard team. This is my wildcard team. We're free hitting next game week. But yes, this is my wildcard team. I would be actually tempted to play Wilson ahead of Dango. I think Liverpool are a little bit of a mess. A little bit of a mess. I would probably play Tark. Yeah, I think I would play Tark on that one. Best chip strat for who've already used their wildcard. If you can navigate blank game week 34, free hit next game week. That is probably my advice. I don't think personally I would select Munoz on a 32 and then a 33 bench boost. Not for me. Probably not for me. Wilson over Ekatike. I mean, if you're unsure about Ekatike's minutes, then definitely. Definitely. Do keep your questions coming in. Anything you want to know ahead of the deadline, do let me know. Fair enough, if that's the way you feel. If that is the way you feel. I love the way you make me feel. The goalkeeper predictions for this week are tight. They are very, very tight. Ekatike or Bowen? I probably would prefer to have Bowen. Yeah, Bowen would probably be the one for me. Justin instead of Strauch. I think Justin could be a decent pick. I do think Justin could be a decent pick. Speaking to some Leeds fans, apparently he was on set pieces. Well, at least the corners, after Stack went off injured. So maybe you want to consider there. Canate or Anderson to Munoz? Probably Anderson. Can you suggest why you prefer this strategy? I prefer it because I don't want to come out of my wild card, so in game week 35, with a team full of Bournemouth, Leeds, and Brighton players. I don't mind Chelsea that much. I definitely don't mind having the City players in there. But all my free transfers are then going to be used to get in like Palace players for their doubles. So then I can't just move to any of the other fixtures around. Like if my team was fine, I would definitely have free hit in 33. Look to have then gone for the bench boost a little bit later and a wild card in 35. So yeah, that's why I just longer term I don't want to be stuck with a team of those guys. I've seen about the Delo thing. It's illness, so maybe could be back on Monday. We're going to wait for the Jump the Wave predictions. If we get the Jump the Wave predictions has him at like 0, then I will probably put Nico O'Reilly in. Well, I definitely will put Nico O'Reilly in. So we're waiting for the Jump the Wave predictions. When they come out, if Manchester United and Delo is at 0 or like any sort of doubts, probably below like 85%, I will just switch to Nico O'Reilly. That's what we'll do. Okay. Do keep your questions coming in, guys. Anything you want to know ahead of the deadline, I am here. Let me know. My wildcard is active as well. I probably would not bench my penalty taker, so would have Palmer. But I do feel Harry Wilson could probably do quite well this week. I've just got a strange feeling. I do just have a strange feeling about it. I'm free hitting in 33. I already have João Pedro. Should I sell him this week for Bowen on a punt? I probably wouldn't, because you might want João Pedro back. Like, I know he doesn't have a fixture in game week 34, so what's your strategy there? Obviously, Bowen does, so if it helps you through the blank, then maybe something to consider. Sell Rodgers or Palmer to Cunha. I would. I mean, you don't need Palmer then, because he's going to blank in one of the game weeks. I think realistically, you could potentially even keep Rodgers in that scenario. Like, you either move to Cunha or you just keep Rodgers, because Villa's fixtures aren't terrible. Who have they got during that period? So Villa would have, this week they'll have Forest, and then in game week 34, they've got Fulham. So they're not terrible fixtures. Cunha's would be Leeds this week and Brentford at home. So probably the better of the two. But again, Rodgers could come away with something across that period. Very easy. Who do you think will score the most points this game week? I genuinely think Garner, because of the floor, could just come away with like 4 or 5, and that could be enough. It really could. It really could. No worries, man. No worries. Fair enough if that's the way you feel. Personally, for me, I think with the injuries that they've sustained at the back, Stack as well being out, Rodon, who's one of their main centre-backs, being out, I probably would stay way away from going like a triple up. But that's just my take on it. Obviously, you're entitled to your own. What are people's plans for the weekend? Let me know what you've got obviously planned coming up. Are you going to be watching plenty of football? Do let me know. Yes, this is my wildcard team. Free hitting next week. But yeah, let me know what plans you've got for the weekend. Let me know if you're watching the game tonight as well. Where are you going to be watching it? Not in like a weird way, but, you know, are you watching it at home? Are you going to the pub? You can enjoy it with some friends. Who to bench? Dango, Anderson, and Wilson. Either Dango or Anderson for me. Yeah, I probably would go either Dango or Anderson. Those would be the two that I think I probably would bench boost. Bench. Play Szoboszlai or Dang, I probably would go with the set piece man and would go with Szoboszlai. So yeah, that's probably where I'd go on that one. Probably where I would go on that one. Come catch me, babe. I'm falling. Off to the London Stadium. Very nice. Hopefully a big juicy dub and some Bowen goals to go with it. I will have a full team of doublers because I will be free hitting. There you go. Bench Rodgers or Dango. Again, I probably would bench Dango. I've had a few questions about Dango. I wonder what his predicted points are for this week. Should we have a look? Let's have a look. Again, if you want to come and check out my model, the link to the FPL Cartel is in the description. You can come and get this. You can come and get your team rated. So people are looking at like Dango, Wilson. I think we've had like Rodgers, Szoboszlai as well is like another name that's ringing out. Let me know if there's any more. I'll just hold for this screen for a second. Let me know if there's any more names that people are considering for benching midfielder wise this week. But I feel like that's your lot, isn't it, really? That's probably your lot. Like, Wilson is the lowest out of all these. Dango actually above Rodgers in terms of predicted points for this game week as well. So my model does like Dango Otara. It is a good fixture. I genuinely think all of these guys could come away with very, very similar points this game week. It would not shock me to potentially see all of these guys maybe come away with some points. For me personally, I would prefer to play a guy that has like set piece share, so that goes in favor of Dominic Szoboszlai and Harry Wilson, than maybe benching like, you know, one of those. Szoboszlai also can hit those defensive contributions as well, but as you can see here, my model does like Dango for this week. Also thinks he's a pretty nice option to potentially look at as well. Coin flip, Ekatike or Dango. Yeah, Ekatike is going to be heads. Tails is going to be Dango, okay? Tails it is. There you go. There you go. Right, let's head back to my team. A few people asking me, am I wildcarding? Yes. This is my wildcard team, okay? There you go. This is the wildcard team. Yeah, we've not really spoken about captaincy in today's stream, but for me, I think the captaincy decision is quite easy. I do believe it is Bruno Fernandes. Leeds are third for goals conceded to Cams. Bruno's only had 2 blanks since Michael Carrick joined, and out of the past 4 game weeks, only 1 has been under 10 points. So the guy has been very, very consistent. I do just think Bruno Fernandes is the pretty easy captaincy pick to look at for this game week, in my personal opinion. Outside of that, obviously, you can go wherever you want, but that's just how I feel about it. Afternoon, Tom. Who to bench, Ekatike or Elliot Anderson? I genuinely think I probably would go Ekatike. We've had no real updates in terms of Arsenal. Again, it's all from the Thursday training pictures that didn't feature Timber. He wasn't in them, so that's about all we've really got to work with at the moment, unfortunately. Would I wild card with that team? I think that's a pretty good team for this week, so probably not. Yeah, probably not. Thoughts on Cunha for Gibbs White? I don't mind Gibbs White for this week as well. Could also do pretty well. So yeah, I guess it's again all dependent on your strategy. Do you feel like you need these transfers further down the line? Because it does feel quite a luxury move if you are going to make that one. Yeah. I am absolutely shattered today, guys. Yeah, I'm not. If you've probably heard from my voice, I'm not 100%. Like I'm feeling a bit under the weather. Didn't really sleep great last night. So yeah, I'm feeling the effects of streaming for about 2.5 hours. Obviously we'll go live up until obviously the big boys start doing their thing about 4, half 4-ish. I'll see how I feel around about 4 o'clock. If I'm still feeling all right-ish, then I'll continue. If I'm feeling a little bit crap, then we'll probably wrap it up. Oh, you're trying to just pick one. Okay. I mean, Gibbs White is a completely fine pick. He really is. We still don't know who the Forest penalty taker is. We need them to get a penalty, really, to iron that one out with everyone on the pitch. Obviously, Chris Wood being back, though, probably means Chris Wood's back on them. Yeah. Do keep your questions coming in, guys. Anything you want to know ahead of the deadline, do let me know. Of course, we'll try and answer as many questions as we possibly can. Try and help you guys out as best as we possibly can as well. Like I said, voice a little bit raspy, but we're all good. We're all good. Here are some benching headaches. Yeah. Forget my actual headache. Here's some benching headaches. Bijol is a doubt, I believe. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Is Bijol a doubt? I personally probably would just go Strauch. I actually like Justin. I think Justin could be a really exciting pick. Garner or JP, Chow or VVD. I'd go Raya. I'd probably go VVD, and I probably still would go James Ward-Prowse. Bowen or DCL? For this week, I would rather have Bowen. Longer term, maybe DCL. Yeah, Rodon's out. I know Rodon's definitely out. Yeah, Rodon's definitely out. Sell Enzo or Ndai. I probably would prefer to sell Enzo. We don't know if he's going to be back for the double game week. It looks like he's going to apologize and maybe could be back in contention, but yeah, I wouldn't go for it. I don't mind Ampadu. Again, not feeling like overly confident about it, but who knows? Who knows what we could get? But yeah, I don't mind Ampadu. Any last minute transfers? I will only swap out Delo if it's like we get news that he's 100% confirmed out. The only other swap we probably will make with this side is O'Reilly will come in for Delo. So yeah, that's probably about it. What's the chances of James Garner outscoring João Pedro, do you reckon? I think there could be a decent chance. City or 20th for goal involvements conceded to strikers. Garner very easily could just rack up some pretty just tasty points, couldn't he? Delo or VVD for game week 32? Delo is a little bit of a doubt. Didn't head to the squad training in Ireland in the week with a bit of illness and was basically just left home to recover. He could be in the squad. He could not be in the squad. We're going to have to wait and see on that one. Should I start João Pedro or Dango? I think I probably would go João Pedro. Yeah, I'd just cover myself off with the effective ownership route there. Is probably how I would play that one. Do keep your questions coming in, guys. Anything you want to know ahead of the deadline, do let me know. We'll try and answer as many questions if you want your team reviewing as well. Get yourself into the FPL Cartel. It's where we do all our team ratings. Tavernier, Aronson, or Ampadu. I personally would go Tavernier. Obviously, he's not the main penalty taker, but Krupi does take the penalties, but never plays like a full 90. Either comes off about 60, 70, or comes off the bench. So there's always a chance that Tavernier will step up and take that penalty. Has set piece share, decent underlying numbers to go with it as well. So he would be the one for me. Hybro, Semenyo, or Wilson. I would go Semenyo this week. Do you mind explaining your trip strategy and how many FTs you have? I am going with a wildcard this week, free hit next week, and a bench boost in game week 36. That is the plan that I'm going with. I realistically would have gone free hit 33 if my team was in better nick, but I had Salah, I had Ekatike, I had a few problems that needed to be dealt with. We also had like Enzo, we had an injured player as well on the bench. So I was pretty much down to bare bones. It was time to pull the trigger one way or the other. We could have gone with the bench boost strategy, and I do think it is a very, very, very viable option. The problem for me is I don't want to be in a position where I'm left with triple Brighton, double Leeds, triple Bournemouth players. Even double Chelsea doesn't excite me that much longer term as well. So that is why I've gone down this route. Again, this strategy isn't for everybody, and I feel like it's all so team dependent at the moment. And yeah. What else have we got in the chat? Tom, should I start a centre back Anderson, Sobo, or Dango, or two to start and bench one? What? Read that again, mate. Tavernier playable against Arsenal? Probably not. Probably not. I would rather have Munoz instead of Richards. I just don't have the budget to afford it. But yes, I would. If I had the budget, I would make those changes. But unfortunately, like I said, I don't have the budget, so I can't make those changes. Yeah, unfortunately. Dango or Wilson and Bowen or Welbeck. What strategy you want, mate? Or are these just free transfers? Is this a wild card or is this some free transfers? Let me know. Do I think Gardner could outscore Cunha? Yes. That is a very realistic probability that he could. I think that could very easily happen. Just because he's just so consistent, isn't he? And look, DEFCON is one of those things where it just racks up every single week. But at the same time, Cunha could just demolish Leeds. Like they've got players out. It could very easily happen. It could very easily happen. Is Aronson a good pick? I don't mind him. His minutes are a little bit sketchy, is the only concern I have. So that would be the one for me. Dango, Wilson, or Rogers bench one. I think if you're probably going to bench one, I've been saying to people I would rather play Wilson and Rogers ahead of Dango, but Dango was a little bit ahead on the predicted models. I think if you're just playing it from a fixture-based perspective, you probably do bench Wilson, but Liverpool have conceded the third most goal involvements to right wingers, so that could be the problem. I don't think I said what. Did I say Ward Prowse? I probably would go João Pedro. Sorry, my mind, like I said, I'm a little bit under the weather. My mind is playing tricks on me at the moment. Bowen, Pedro to Bowen for a free transfer. Not if you're obviously not playing any chips next game week, because you will want João Pedro for the double game week. Yeah, you'll want João Pedro for the double game week. Hopefully that makes sense to people. Hopefully that makes some sense to people. Pedro to Bowen, free. We did that one. Raya and the Bravka, or the Bergen and Henderson for game week 32. Raya and the Bravka, the Bergen and Henderson. I think I would probably maybe go the Bergen and Henderson if you're going to bench boost further down the line. Might be the play. Obviously the goalkeeper, then you would be playing Henderson against Liverpool, but goalkeepers are relatively a low scoring position. So yeah, that's the only concern I've got there. Mook is very tempting. He is very tempting. We have the money in the bank to go and get him. We do have the money in the bank to go and get him, by the way. If we wanted to. If I free hit in 33, should I sell João Pedro to Bowen? I don't hate it. 2 all right fixtures for Bowen this week. And of course, in game week 34, you are just taking on a big effective ownership player, though, this week. That could be the only downside I'd see. Thoughts on Chow if he's starting? I think he should start with Botman out injured. He should be in. Should be in the side. Yeah, I'm going to have a quick look at Mook's numbers compared to... let me bring this up. Go back to the model. Let's look over the next 5. Alderete, sorry, and Mook. There's quite a big jump, isn't there? There is quite a big jump between the two's predicted points. It's just a case of, I mean, I think he should play. If he's back, then he probably should play. And like I said, we've got a little bit of money in the bank. We've got some wiggle room. We've got 0.6, so we can make all this happen. Yeah, we can make this move happen. He has been out for a bit, but when he is, yeah, he can hit those defensive contributions, can't he? He really can. That one might be a coin flip. That one might be a coin flip. We might have to coin flip on that one. Like I said, guys, my wildcard team is active for this game week. No worries, mate. No worries. Yeah, like, this is the problem with the TikToks is you have to make them short and snappy. And I hope that, you know, the information still comes across to you guys. But of course, there are more nuggets in these streams and videos where I can give you more longer term explanations. But, you know, by and by, if you haven't already, go and check out the Instagram and TikTok. Definitely worth it. What's the reasoning behind Delo? I need a player that could have a good fixture this week, game week. Obviously, we've got other defenders that could also play a decent fixture in game week 34 that they have. And yeah, he's all right for the predicted scoring. He's not bad. He's not too bad. If we bring up the defenders on the model, so this is over the next 5 game weeks. If we select all, if we go to defenders, Mook's up there for one of the top scoring players. Ballard's out injured for this week. O'Reilly's there as well. Van Heck, but obviously we need someone for 34. So you are starting to go down here, and it is like, well, I could go Matty Cash maybe, but I don't feel like overly confident about that one. Delo's a little bit further down, and his numbers aren't amazing, but still, I think, there's some decent fixtures in there for United. Let me move back to this screen. There are some decent fixtures in there. For me anyway, because I'm obviously free hitting that week. So we'd get Leeds, Brentford, Liverpool, not ideal, but I can bench him for that week. That's fine. Sunderland on my bench boost tip week. Forest, Brighton. Like, it is just a decent run of games that United have got there. Delo, we don't know about his fitness. The press conference isn't till tomorrow. It pretty much looks like he didn't go to Ireland because of illness. Now, that probably means that he's not going to feature this game week. Not the end of the world, because I can just play Nico O'Reilly instead when we get the jump the wave predictions. And if they don't have him, then I'm fine to make that move. Otherwise, I probably will just, I probably will just bench him. Fair enough. If again, horses for courses, isn't it? I feel everybody's team is different. Everybody can play the kind of, the end of the season strategy completely different depending on your team and on your own opinions as well. I think that's the beauty of maybe this double game week not being as cut and dry. I feel if it was cut and dry, the people like, Arsenal and Newcastle were in there. I feel like everybody would have the exact same team heading into this game week. I know, like, obviously a lot of the creators do, but I still feel like there's people playing alternative strategies across this period. And we'll have to see which one comes out on top. Yeah. So it's going to be fun. It is going to be fun. If you're enjoying today's stream, by the way, guys, make sure you are hitting that like button. Make sure you're subscribing. It is all really appreciated. Play one, Chow, Alderete, Hill. I probably would go Alderete. I need to stop adding the N in there. But yeah, he would be the one I would go for. He would be the one I would go for. Just pop into Fran's stream, see what he's working with. Oh, he's added Thiago. He's added Thiago to his wild card, has he now? Franny boy. What's this? A little bit different on the strategy as old Fran. Okay. All right. We'll see how that one ends up. Yeah, I think that probably is the correct strategy, isn't it? That is probably the correct strategy to go for. I mean, predicted points, my model has gross coming out on top. We can do a coin flip if you like. Yeah, we can do a coin flip if you want. If that's something you would like, we can do a coin flip on it. Let me know. Play Wilson or Tavernier? I would play Wilson. I think Liverpool definitely have showed their defensive frailties this season. Third for goals conceded to right wingers as well in the league. I think they're third. Maybe I'm wrong on that one, but they're pretty bad. I can't remember the exact number. We went for it earlier in the stream. Someone in the Discord said, "Can you do a flip for JP or Wilson for me?" If you're watching, mate, tails is going to be JP, heads is going to be Wilson. Okay. By the way, the coin is here if anybody wants any split decisions answering as well. It's heads. There you go. It's heads. If you are enjoying today's stream, make sure you are hitting that like button. Like I said, it'd be great if we could get today's stream up to 150 likes. We're at 130 already, so 150 would be greatly appreciated. Yeah, it would be greatly appreciated. Should I do Ekatike and Mbumo to Gross and Haaland to afford Haaland? Should I do Ekatike and Mbumo to Gross and Haaland? I mean, yeah, I think if it gets you Haaland in and you want to captain him and stuff like that. Play and die or DCL? I probably would play and die this week. Welbeck or DCL on the wild card? For me personally, I would go DCL. I just don't see Welbeck playing both games in the double. I just don't. That's just for me personally how I see it. Obviously, things can change. But yeah, that's for me personally how I see things. I think we're going to leave Alderete in, or Alderete in, should I say, purely because I'm looking at it, and if I want to make that switch, Thiago to Mateta in game week 36, then we are going to need that little bit of extra budget to get that across the line. So I think maybe leaving that bit of budget available to us is probably going to be the wiser move. Now, we could just swap out Bowen when we get there, but maybe Bowen might not be a player I'll want to switch out. So maybe just leaving that little bit of budget left over could be the right play there, is what I'm thinking. Yeah, I think Ndai's back. Not Sunderland or Manchester United. Probably going to be like Matty Cash then, or Anderson from Fulham. They're probably the two bets I would look at. I mean, he can, but I want my player to be playing as many minutes as possible. More minutes, more points. It's just a simple correlation. Play Ekatike or DCL. I probably still would go Ekatike, but again, maybe let's wait and see if we get some jump the wave predictions. And the jump the wave predictions are in, baby. Let's go and have a look at these bad boys. One of my favorite things to always do on a deadline stream is head to jump the wave. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Right. Let's go through these then, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the Arsenal predicted one. Ray at 100%, Gabriel and Saliba both at 100%. Timber only at 14, so I probably would look to either sell him off or bench him for this week. Rice at 100%. Gyökeres at 100% as well. Could also be a pretty tasty one. Villa, Cash, Martinez, Konza, Rogers at 100, Watkins at 100. Brighton, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welbeck at 100. Matoma only at 83%. Minter at 67. Gross at 100. Gomez at 50. Hinchelwood at 100. Vifa at 100. Van Heck at 100. Verbergen at 100. Chelsea. Gusto could also be a nice pick as well for people maybe looking at the bench boost next week. Palmer and João Pedro, obviously at 100% as well. Liverpool, obviously no Alisson still. Virgil, Canate. Gravenberch only at 89. Sobo at 94, I do find a bit interesting. Salah at 100%. Ekatike down at 39%. Probably would be enough to make me pull the trigger. City, O'Reilly at 100%, Nunes at 100%, Haaland 100%, Semenyo at 100%. Manchester United, Diego Dallo, by the way, in 100% of the predicted lineups. So despite him being ill, still looks very good that he is going to be there. So no real doubt around that. So that makes me feel quite confident. Cunha at 100%, Bruno Fernandes at 100%. Yeah, seeing this probably gives me that enough confidence to probably stick with Dallo for me personally anyway. Newcastle, where's Anthony Gordon? 100%. Chow's also 100% as well for people that have him. Tottenham, I doubt anybody's got any Tottenham players, but there's some there, and that is that. I'll retweet that, of course, so you can go and have a look at it for yourself. But always a very, very useful tool, and obviously very useful in my case point here, because it means I'm going to stick with Dalot in the starting 11. And I think because of that, that's me locked. That is me, that's me pretty much locked in for this game week. I don't think there are any other changes I'm going to make on the wild card. We'll do a coin flip for captaincy, but I'm going to stick with Bruno Fernandes, whatever the outcome, as I do believe he's the best captain. But yeah, I think that for me was all I was waiting for. That jump the wave predictions. It's got Dalot in there, so I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm gonna take that into this week. That's my wildcard team, guys. I'm not making any more changes. I'm locked. I'm genuinely locked on it. Yeah, I'll feel better in a few days. Don't worry about me. Do you prefer Anderson over Garner as your DEFCON guy? I do. I just think Anderson's got, pretty decent strike rates, hasn't he? He is just so consistent at it. Going on to the bottom. He is just ridiculously good at doing it. 16, 8, 15. Like, he's always pretty much every other game. Not even every other game at the moment. Probably once in every 3 games, not hitting it. We can have a look at Garner. I obviously don't mind Garner either. I think he's also a pretty stable guy for that. Has set piece share very similar to him. Again, probably a little bit less frequent, I would say. 10, 12, like he hit it 3 here, didn't hit it here, didn't hit it here. So again, yeah, I probably would say his is around like 1 in 3 as well, where he doesn't hit, maybe a little bit higher. We'll have to have a look. Let's bring up the model, see what the model's saying in terms of both these guys. Let's have a look. That's what we got. Elliot Anderson actually comes out on top here. So, yeah, we're going to stick with the pick. We're going to stick with the pick. Yeah, 100% FIFA is exactly what you needed to see, Abby, isn't it? That helps you. That helps you. Easy pick that. Easy pick that now. Ekatike to Bowen or stack to Sarr and bench Ekatike for Sarr. Yeah, I probably would do that. I mean, Ekatike's eating a lot of budget, so I probably would be more tempted to just shift him on for Bowen. Yeah, I mean, fixtures for DEFCON guys is by the by, really, isn't it? Yeah. I genuinely think, fixtures don't really matter for these DEFCON guys. They can hit at any occasion, and you do just wheel them out every single week. Yeah, I probably would bench Ek. With him being that low, he definitely would be a player I probably would bench. I probably would go Sobbo, and then I probably would go an Everton defender. I just wouldn't trust that Liverpool defense. I'd also be maybe tempted to consider playing Wilson. Like, Liverpool are vulnerable from that right-hand side. Thiago to Bowen, I actually think it's a fine fixture for Thiago this week. Absolutely mega hauled earlier in the season against Everton. What's to stop him doing it again? I probably would play Dango ahead of Ekatike now, seeing those predictions as well. I'm not ignoring you, man. There are plenty of people in the chat. If you want to go and cry about it to someone else's stream. But I ain't ignoring you. There's a lot of people asking questions. We're trying to work through them. And yeah, like I said, if you're going to cry about it, go somewhere else. Ekatike to Bowen probably would be the shout, unless, of course, you are, if you're free hitting next week, then I would do it. If not, then probably go Welbeck. Start Van Heck or Hume. Was Hume in the predicted lineups for Sunderland? I can't remember. Maybe worth checking that from Meerkat. Hi, Tom. Would you transfer in Hall or Garner? I'm guessing Garner since he's a set piece. Yeah. Bowen or Welbeck for Ekatike. Again, dependent on strategy. All dependent on strategy. If you're free hitting next week, you go Welbeck. You go Bowen, sorry. If you're not, then you probably look at a Welbeck or a Calvert-Lewin. I meant KDH. KDH has set pieces as well. Both are pretty decent assets. I think just maybe Garner for the consistency of DEFCON probably edges it for me. But both are really good. Both are genuinely really good. Senesi, Hall, or Strauk this week? I probably would prefer Senes. I probably prefer Strauk, actually. I can't remember which one edges it. I can have a look for you over like a 5-game week period and we can have a look. I'm going to say I think it's KDH just because his PPG is better. But we can have a look. Like I said, guys, if you do want to obviously come and chest out, check out the FPL Cartel. It is a link in the description. Very tight. 0.6 points between the two of them. Again, must be very tight in terms of the PPG for both of these players. I probably would prefer to go for Garner just because of the consistency of defensive contributions and the more repeatable action it being. So yeah, I probably would go Garner. Looks likely that Timber, won't feature for this game week. Yeah, looks likely. Would you do with Ekatike, sell to Bowen? If I'm free hitting next week, then yeah, I probably would. Who's my currently top 2 Brighton mids? Pascal Gross and then maybe like Matoma or Hinselwood. That's probably about it. Yeah, that's probably about it. Ekatike to Welbeck. Again, if you're playing the bench boost next week, could be a pretty decent one as well. Hey, no worries, man. No worries. Garner or Rice? I do like Rice. Again, the model absolutely loves him because his PPG is pretty decent. But he kind of is a more expensive Garner, isn't he? Yeah, I guess it's kind of one of those where I'd be tempted to say Garner just because I do feel like Rice is pretty much a an elevated playing for a better side Garner. Cherky or Semenyo? I think for me personally, I would go Semenyo. I'd prioritize Haaland. I'd prioritize Haaland first, especially if you're not playing like obviously a free hit next week. I personally would go. I'd be tempted to go with Wilson. I just think that Liverpool defense is looking a little bit leggy at the moment. The model had it going Dango. I still think look, Dango is still a great pick for this game week as well. Let's do a coin flip. Let's have a look who the coin thinks people should go for captain, okay? Heads is going to be Haaland. Tails is going to be Bruno Fernandes, okay? Tails, Bruno Fernandes. Now, the coin has been a bit sus in the past few weeks, so maybe it is a chance to look elsewhere, I guess. Maybe it is a chance to look elsewhere. Is this my wildcard team? Yes, this is my wildcard team. If you would have more in the bank, what would you like to improve with your current team? I would do Richards to Munoz. If I had more money in the bank, probably, yeah, that'd be about the only change maybe I'd make if I could afford more. Yeah. The coin does lie. It told me to bring in Salah a few weeks ago and sell Haaland. Disaster. And those transfers have now meant I've had to activate my wild card a bit early as well. Like, we could have just got away with it, maybe. We could have just got away with it a little bit. Anyway, we're going to wrap things up, guys. My throat is feeling a bit raspy today. Like I said, I'm not feeling 100%. Oh, yeah, I probably play Van Heck instead of Hume, though. Like I said, I'm going to take off. Obviously, there's some other big streamers going live now anyway. Like I said, I've not been 100%, but we've still managed to crack on with 3 hours. If you did enjoy today's stream, hit that like button on the way out. It is really appreciated as always. I'm going to lie down because I do feel a bit dizzy and, yeah, get some rest in and hopefully feel better over the course of the weekend. Best of luck, everybody, for, of course, your teams. If you're on wildcard, best of luck. If you're going against Bruno Fernandes, best of luck. You know the drill. And yeah, like I said, make sure you're hitting subscribe on the way out. Make sure you're liking the stream. And make sure if you want to come and chat to me after the stream, I'll be in the FPL Cartel. I'll be reviewing teams. I'll be answering questions, helping you guys with strategy. So like I said, if you want to come and chat to me about that, that is the place to ultimately come and do that. All right, guys, like I said, we're going to round things up now. Thank you very much for your continued support on the channel. Sorry I'm a little bit ill and sometimes I've been a bit snotty or, been a bit quiet today. I do really appreciate your support as always. So thank you very much, guys. Best of luck this game week. And like I said, come over to the FPL Cartel if you want to continue the chat with me.